I'll let
Everybody in, or you want?
everybody in. I'll admit everybody in. Hello, all.
Morning.
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 All right. Everybody ready? You ready, Gina?
Yep. Good morning. I'd like to call the Lincolnway Special Recreation Association Board of Directors Special Board Meeting on June 16th at 9:30 a.m. to order. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded for record-keeping purposes. Can we please stand for Pledge of Allegiance? Greg has the flag in his room. We'll use that as our... I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to
the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, with
indivisible.
liberty and justice
Liberty
for all.
and justice for all. Thank you. Mary, can you please call roll?
Yep. Kim.
Give everybody time to unmute as it.
Kim Stroud.
She's not going to be here today, Mary.
Oh, okay. Absent. Okay. Greg Lewis.
Here.
Jay.
He will not be present today either.
Oh.
Sorry.
Audrey. Here. Gina.
Yes?
Greg Vitale.
Here.
And Renee.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you, Mary. Mary, just as a reminder, with the new laws that were taken into effect, for everything we must call roll. I know you usually do, with the exception of adjournment. So just when we get to adjournment too, we'll also need to have a roll call vote.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, on our agenda, treasurer's report, payment of bills. Keith, you want to walk us through that?
Yeah. All right. So the major thing we have in the payment of bills, we had refunds for this year. We had almost $50,000 in refunds from summer programs. So that's where you will see that great that the amount for this month in there. We also had some absorbent amount of year-end financial reporting costs, and then some legal costs that we had included with some of the things that we had going on. So that's pretty much it. Pretty much it's a skeleton crew and bare bones. We're trying to save as much money as we can in different places during this pandemic, and doing those things. So it's pretty much it for us. This is our year end, so these are the financials for May, is the unaudited financials, and we're looking decent, but you know, based on the refunds that we had to do and the non programs that we have for summer, it's kind of, you know, put us at a different state than typically in years past.
Is there any questions for Keith regarding the accounts payable? Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $101,047.19, which may include lodging and travel expenses?
I'll make that motion. Greg Lewis.
Renee Chavez.
Second.
Any further discussion regarding the accounts payable? Hearing none, Mary, can you please call roll?
Sure.
So I don't know what to do.
Greg Lewis.
Yes.
Audrey.
Yes.
Gina,
Yes?
Greg Vitale,
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Motion passed.
The, Keith, I don't see the treasurer's, the treasurer's report is listed on the agenda, but I don't see it calling for approval. John, is it necessary to call for the approval of the treasurer's report? I know we've been,
It's not approval, it would be accepting the treasurer's report, and the reference is up on like 4 there, so that's fine.
okay. So is anybody, Keith, you want to take us through the, again, you kind of really already did. Is there any questions regarding the treasurer's report? As Keith said, it's the unaudited final one for the fiscal year. Certainly there may be some few outstanding bills that would yet to be posted. Does anybody have any questions regarding the treasurer's report? Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Renee Chavez will motion.
I'll second it. Greg Lewis.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mary, could you call roll, please?
Audrey,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
Greg Vitale,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Greg Lewis.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. Last month, we were hoping that we'd have our special guest, Emma DeFori, present, our scholarship winner. I see that Emma is joining us this morning. Emma, we are wishing you the best of luck on your college opportunities. I don't know if you had anything to say, or if you don't, that's fine, but if you wanted to, now would be appropriate.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just really wanted to say thank you to every single one of the office staff and all of the regular staff at Lincolnway SRA for everything they've provided me with over the past year and a half that I have been a staff member. When I first started, I would have never seen myself even going into rec therapy, and all the opportunities you have provided me has been spectacular. I personally want to thank Keith and the foundation for the scholarship, as it will help me continue my education and achieve my dreams of furthering my education. But overall, I just really want to thank all of the LWSRA office staff and the foundation for supporting me and taking me in with open arms when I started as a meek little 16-year-old. And thank you for everything. It really means the most.
Thank you. I think the staff that's present and certainly welcomes those comments, that they've spoke very highly of you, and we're wishing you the best, and we're hoping that you're in the classroom in the fall. So congratulations.
Emma, where are you going? Where are you headed?
I'll be going to University of St. Francis in Joliet.
Well,
Great.
again,
Thank you, Emma.
yeah, thank you, Emma. We appreciate you working, and it's more than a job. We know that when we get shining stars like you, you can, I always say people have it, and you have it. We're always willing to jump in whenever needed, and that is an awesome characteristic that you have and trait that you have. So keep up the good work, and we hope to see you around here and volunteering and all those things. If you need anything, just give us a call.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on the agenda, communications. Keith, is there anything?
Nope.
Consent agenda, approval of the regular meeting minutes of the May 19th, 2020 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion. Greg Vitale.
Is there a second?
Second, Audrey.
Thank you. Any further discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, Mary, could you please call roll?
Greg Vitale,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Greg Lewis,
Yes.
Audrey,
Yes.
Gina.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. We are on to our public comment. I do see that one person has made a note that they'd like to speak. So we'll go in order of people's notes. If you'd like to address the board, you'll have a 5-minute window of time. Again, it's an effort to keep the meeting on track and everybody to have an opportunity to speak. We ask that you state your name so that the board just knows who they're speaking with during that time period. John, am I missing anything?
That's it.
Okay, so again, I'm looking at my list. Sorry, bear with me. I've got John's iPad, which is
Right, I'm writing the order, Gina.
okay.
So SAL01R, please. If you can state your name in the comments so I can refer to you as who you are. And we'll start with John's iPad.
Oh. Thank you. Good morning.
Dad, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Susan Eisenbrandt. I'm a parent of a participant at LWSRA. And my feelings are that LWSRA should be investigated for financial irregularities, that the police should investigate an alleged theft from the Recreation Association that serves residents with special needs. The allegations involve a former employee, Abby Billups, and theft from LWSRA. Concerned parents would like the LWSRA attorney to look into identified irregularities regarding agency funds. The LWSRA attorney should take steps toward analyzing books and records, interviewing staff, and performing financial analysis. The investigation should be performed by a certified public accountant, a certified fraud examiner. We, as concerned parents, believe an investigation, including information about current status, should take place also. Keith Wallace stated on April 21st, 2020, quote, "We handled it on a legal and board level." Board said on April 21st, 2020, quote, "There were choices of going to the paper, quote, everything has been improved and act more diligently." Board also stated, quote, "This is a very sensitive topic, quote, there's more to the story." You bet there is. Question, why wasn't Abby Billups fired? She was allowed to resign. Question, why was she allowed to work the rest of the week at LWSRA? Question, why was she allowed to come in on a Saturday, close her door, and pack up her office? Question, did the board ever talk to the whistleblowers? Why not? Question, when will the board meetings be changed to evening so that more parents can attend? All, yes, all of the Park District board meetings do so at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
And also one more thing, I think I still have time. I never got a response back from my questions from the April board meeting. I was told, and it is on record, that I would. I have never received answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith, the next person.
Okay, next person would be, I believe that's Scott Lorenz.
Scott, we can't hear you.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. First of all, I know it's been kind of a crazy time through this whole COVID thing, and I know my son Nick's been on a lot of the Zoom calls, the virtual things going on with the agency, and I just want to go on record saying that I think the staff's done a great job in putting those together. I know he certainly enjoys them very much, as you can hear it throughout the house. As I can hear him downstairs. He's on one right now. So they've done a great job, and thank you very much. Keep it up. I think keeping them involved is really important. But also with, being involved, I know I was in a couple meetings where, Keith had mentioned that, he's 100% LWSRA, but 150% adaptive. That has bothered me because, he is the director of the agency, and I feel he should be 150% for all the activities, not just adaptive. I don't know why that is, but I understand he has a passion for it. I get that. But he is the director, and he should be, in my opinion, more involved with all the sports. I haven't seen him at too many of the district tournaments, the state tournaments for all our athletes. I believe he does attend a lot of the adaptive ones. And, I've heard things from parents, that'll mention, hey, we don't ever see Keith here. He is supposed to be the face of LWSRA, our director. He should be attending these things, in my opinion, to support all of it, not just, certain parts of it more so than others. Let's not slight him. He is the director. Also, too, when expenses are being done, I know in my company, when I have an expense, I have to write out, let's say I go out to dinner. I have to write down, who was there, what was the purpose of it. I don't know that we really do that at LWSRA, so that there's good record keeping of the expense and why it was necessary. Obviously, there's a limited amount of money to go around, and we want to make sure we're spending it wisely on all the right people. I'm all for having a dinner. I know we've done it when we went downstate. We had a dinner. That's great. Let's put down who's at the dinner, so we all know what's going on here. The other thing, too, which has really kind of bothered me is like when you go to the LWSRA website, you see that, basketball has, the Special Olympics schedule on there, but the adaptive schedule is not there. Softball, the schedule's there. Adaptive is not. Nothing is there on adaptive other than the same thing 8 times in a row in every single category. I guess why is that? I don't know. If we're not wanting people to know where the adaptive programs are, participating and doing things, I'm not sure. So I've often wondered that question. So certainly would like to see about, putting that information out there to the public as well. And then let's see. The other thing I know, Keith, when you and I had a conversation, you had mentioned about having a town hall meeting. And then obviously the whole COVID thing hit. So I'm kind of hoping that that's still on the agenda. I think it's really important to have another town hall meeting like we did a year ago. And I think it'd be good to get, at night when everybody can make it and to open up a forum to ask, questions. Because in this forum here, we ask questions. We always have a interactive conversation. It's a one-way conversation. So would really like an opportunity to do that. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. The town hall is still on our list of things to do. Again, hoping to do it in person in the near future, even if we have to do multiple times, when we get to that 50 group. So if we do, a couple times. So that is in the near future when we get to a new state of a phase here in the state. So thank you. Keith, next person.
Next person is Karen.
Karen, before you go, I'm sorry. We've had a couple people join the meeting. If you want to address the board, if you could just type in the comments that you'd like to address the board, we'll take them in order. So I know a couple people have joined. I just wanted to make sure they had that opportunity. So. Karen, when you're ready.
Okay, my name is Karen Rizak. I'm a parent of a participant. I'm a former employee, and I'm one of the whistleblowers. On May 28th, I sent an email to all 7 LWSRA board members with documentation that supported the statements that I read at the May board meeting. I provided LWSRA credit card statements for October 2017, which shows Keith used his LWSRA credit card to pay for his over $1,400 Japan hotel stay. And I sent the October 2018 credit card statement where Keith again used the LWSRA credit card to pay for an over $700 hotel stay while he was in Japan for Team USA wheelchair softball. Team USA has no association with LWSRA. This documentation also showed that in his own handwriting, he coded these charges to the adaptive accounting code. I also included in this email the LWSRA credit card statements showing that during a 4-year period from December 2017 to March 2018, there were 88 transactions that appeared on the LWSRA credit card for travel to wheelchair basketball in Los Angeles, California and Orlando, Florida. LWSRA paid over $12,000 for 20 people's airfare, hotel, and rental cars for the California trip, and over $9,000 for 15 people's airfare, hotel, and rental cars for the Florida trip. These charges include flights that LWSRA paid for Abby's husband, Dan Fiara, and their 2-year-old son, as well as a parent of an LWSRA participant. These documents again showed in his own handwriting that Keith coded these charges to the adaptive counting code. I want to make clear of the 15 women's wheelchair basketball players that took that trip to LA for the women's national tournament, only 1 is a resident of LWSRA member park district, and 8 don't even live in the state of Illinois. For the Florida trip, of the 12 athletes that went, again, only 1 is a resident of LWSRA park district. And in fact, 2 people that traveled on these trips don't even appear on the roster for the 2017-2018 season. When I reviewed the LWSRA check detail, I found additional flights, hotel, and rental car expenses that were reimbursed to those that originally paid for them on their own. When my child goes, who's a Special Olympic athlete, when his team qualifies to go to a state tournament in Bloomington, I have to pay an additional $130 to $170, depending on which it is, even if he stays in the same hotel room as me. Yet the adaptive athletes that traveled on these trips to Florida and Orlando paid nothing additional, and most of them didn't even reside in Illinois. I included documentation showing the roster of the adult wheelchair basketball players from the 2017-2018 season. Of the 22 players listed, only 2 are LWSRA residents, 20 are non-residents, and 10 don't live in the state. Is this how you think your taxpayer park district contributions are supposed to be spent? Now, if I compare the wheelchair basketball rosters with the adult Special Olympic basketball teams, we're comparing apples to apples here. Of the same year, from 2017 to 2018, there was a total of 27 players on the Special Olympic team. 26 are LWSRA residents, versus adaptive basketball team had 22 total players. Only 2 were residents. These types of numbers hold true every year for the adult Special Olympic and wheelchair basketball and softball teams from 2014 to 2019. For example, for the past 6 years, there was a total participation of 175 Special Olympic basketball players. Of those 175, 159 were in district. But for the same period, for the wheelchair basketball teams, and these are the adults, there was a participation of 99 total players, but only 4 were in district. And the adult softball teams are no different. Again, for the 6-year period of 2014 to 2019, for Special Olympics, for softball, there was 105 total players. Only 5 were out of district. But for the adaptive softball, there were 8 total players, and 76 were out of district. When Keith became executive director, he wanted to create an adult basketball and softball teams for wheelchair. And I understand that. But he didn't just want a team. He wanted a winning team. In fact, he wanted a championship team. So he went out and recruited. There was no need to worry about living in the taxpayer district. Heck, the wheelchair players didn't even have to live in the state to play for LWSRA. It also sent you documentation showing the LWSRA, American Express, and MasterCard credit cards that showed charges in August of 2017 for over $4,000 at the Clarion Hotel in Joliet. And in 2018, yes?
Just 30 seconds left. I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Okay. And in Joliet in 2018, there was an additional charge of $1,700. And I asked you why. As of today, I've not yet received a response. So why haven't I gotten a response in the 19 days since I sent the board these emails?
I will be addressing comments at the end of the meeting, or at the end of the public.
Shannon?
Hi, I'm Shannon Visser. I'm sorry about the video. I can't get my video to work on my phone right now. And I just want to go on public record. I am a parent also of a child that is a participant at LWSRA. And I think where I'm getting a little frustrated that in the board meetings I am successfully able to attend with my work conflicts, I think where I'm finding a struggle is that in the light of everything that's happening right now, I'm just really trying to figure out in my head as a parent how the target of a lot of the public comments are directed towards concerns that have already had preventative measures that have been put in place to protect the elements from occurring again, i.e. the incident with Abby Phillips. I'm very frustrated because as a parent, I know just firsthand what we're dealing with, struggling with, and could not even put a dollar amount on the amount of support that we received from Keith Wallace, Melissa Jensen, the entire staff, as far as trying to provide us opportunities to be able to support our kids during this process. I've gotten more of a support process from this team than I've ever received even from my school district, which receives significantly more funding than anything we're going to see at LWSRA. And as a parent, I'm slightly frustrated and jaded right now that this group is getting lack of support within this meeting and session and prior sessions, because I do believe they need that to be able to remain steadfast. It'd be different, but we all make mistakes. And if this team is willing to own those mistakes and make corrections and provisions that are with the support of their board's direction to change what they do in the future, I am putting my faith and trust that they're using my tax dollars correctly. As far as a lot of the sessions, I try to be as active as I can as a parent with a full-time schedule, but I'm beyond disappointed that everyone is losing scope of what LWSRA has done from the ground up for this town, for this community, and for this area for our participants. And I don't want that to be missed, because I will tell you one of the reasons I fought to become part of this special rec was because I wasn't receiving that with the special rec I was previously assigned to. So for me, I, for one, as a parent, want to show my support on a different angle. We can go through the details of everything that everybody wants to throughout this session, but at the end of the day, these people do things for the hourly wage that I wouldn't be willing to do. So for me, as a parent, I'm beyond thankful, and I want that to continue to remain the focus when I'm in these sessions. I may not come with the documents, I may not come with the facts, but I can tell you I have a lot more faith and a lot more support for what I know they have done to this point. My son would not be as successful without them. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Shannon.
Carol Hillman, would you like to say something? I see hands and things that you. Hold on.
I think she may have just been thumbing up Shannon's comments is the way I took it, Keith.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
there's
we can.
Carol.
And hey, yeah, I'm new to this Zoom thing as well, and I'm on my phone. I'm usually on my laptop, so bear with me. I don't have anything prepared, and I just left my office, so I'm actually outside, and I wish I had brought pen and paper as well. So what I'm about to say is not as formulated as I would have liked, but I need to totally agree with the last participant who was speaking. Again, my name is Carol Hillman. I am a parent of a participant. I am also a parent of an employee when we don't have COVID. I cannot put the right amount of value to what LWSRA, i.e. Keith Wallace, has done for my child. My child was in Olympic sports when he was younger. He then changed over to the adaptive sports. He went away to college. He graduated University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, summa cum laude. And I can tell you that he would not have gone away to college if Keith Wallace hadn't started him on this journey. I cannot put enough faith in Keith Wallace. I think that we are all blessed to have Keith Wallace in our children's lives and running this organization. You can tell the way Keith is, he just exudes interest and respect and love for these kids, and he wants them to succeed in all avenues, not just sports, but in all avenues of life. So I'm sick to death that just listening to this, I feel he's being beat up on. Yeah, Abby did something wrong. Shame on Abby. let's move on. This isn't going to happen again. Let's move on. Let's embrace the fortunate things that we have. Look at how much LWSRA has grown under Keith's direction. Again, I want to focus on the good. Let's put the bad behind us. We've learned from it and move on. That's all I got for right now, but I reserve the right to come back to another meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Keith, I believe Belinda wanted to speak.
Yes.
You know, I too agree with a lot of parents. We do have a very special group of staff members that go above and beyond. Melissa, Tammy, all of these people who are actually in the trenches taking care of our kids. Jen, who are, you know, she's part of the Titans. These people do go above and beyond. There's no doubt that Lincolnway Special Rec is a very special place for my daughter as well as other people. We definitely believe, I know there's many parents who believe that we have the greatest place for our children to go after they transition out of high school. The problem is this. I think that everything is over too. For me, it's done. But I have been going to every single board meeting just to watch how my tax dollars are spent. And I agree with the adaptive program being a great program for the children who live in our district and who participate from our district. Yes, we have an agreement that other children or adults, I'm sorry, I keep calling my kids children, the adults come into these programs. I agree with that. But we are not recruiting. We are not the Cubs. We are not the Sox. We are not recruiting from out of state. That is the problem that I have, is spending my money on out of state, people coming in, airplane tickets, that type of thing. When my daughter goes, we get a calendar every month, and it's $5 extra to go to a movie, $10 extra to do this. They can't go to the museum because we can't pay $40 for the parking. That's where I have the problem. Once we pay our fee for Titans, and it shouldn't be raised, everything should be included. And that wasn't really what I wanted to speak about today, but because of the other people who spoke, I felt that I needed to bring this out. We want adaptive. We want the adults in our districts, the 10 or 12 park districts that we are associated with. What I came on today for is, I sent that packet that I got from Karen to my park district board. I want to know how many other directors gave that packet to their park district board. Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you, Gina.
Keith, was there anyone else, I think?
MICH iPhone would like to speak. I'll unmute you.
Again, if you could just state your name.
I didn't know I was coming up as something different. My name is Michelle Punty.
Thank you.
And I'm here with husband Vince Punty. We can't get our video to work.
No worries.
However, we'd both like to speak on behalf of being parents, former adaptive. We have two 21-year-old twins who actually started the wheelchair basketball program. And I can tell you that without the program, our boys would not have flourished the way that they have. They're off to college. They're bringing awareness to the community. And I think that is what the adaptive program and Keith Wallace is all about. You know, working together as a community, bringing people together. And I know you are all, it sounds like the adaptive program, but a lot of the expenditures came from fundraising, from donations. Vince and myself have donated to the program ourselves, our boys outgrew their chairs that we had to write a grant for. So, this stuff doesn't just come free. Parents are working hard to make this program work. And if it wasn't for going outside of our community or outside of our resources right here in the area, there wouldn't be a program. And these kids wouldn't be able to, make the friendships that they've made, be involved and have that type of community that they might not ever have.
Yeah, also as a parent of a special needs kid, I see way too many examples of exclusion rather than inclusion. Our community is fortunate enough to have LWSRA, something that is inclusive. And I'll say this, Keith is a big part of it. Keith is a big part of why we love this program. We're fortunate enough to have it. And if there's a few dollars going to support people that are either out of state or out of the district, for those kids, for those people to be included and part of a community and wanted, just the fact that they get to be around peers and can have discussions about us able-bodied people will never understand as much as we're around it. This provides a community for that. And whether that's in district or out of district, we're fortunate enough to have that. I would like to think I live in a community who is also generous enough to be willing to share good fortunes with others. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you either type the spelling of your last name or spell it for our secretary? It's always easier when we have it up front. Thank you. Keith, is there anybody else?
I believe that's all. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on anything else?
Hearing none, thank you everyone for your comments and feedback. It certainly, whether it's questions or concerns or positive comments about our staff or the program, the board values hearing that. At this time, I'd like to make a statement. Karen had asked if her questions would be answered, so please give me a moment while I read our statement. Karen, we'd like to address your concerns that you posed during the public comment section of our May 2020 board meeting. The matter regarding Abby was a personal matter, and the director and board followed guidance from the attorneys of the Park District Risk Management Agency, otherwise known as PDRMA, as well as our attorney, Matt Lulich. There were discussions and decisions that made your staff position was not privy to. The director acted according when the information was presented to him by employees, including seeking out the board president and legal counsel to discuss the plan of action. The 3 employees were thanked for their diligence in gathering the requested documentation by the director. However, all staff was instructed to look at any suspicious charges on their department head reports in March 2018. As far as investigation of other charges, as previously indicated, cost-benefit analysis was done regarding recovering of monies that would be sure of versus monies that would be harder to prove. The agency had entered into a separation agreement based on the information we had at the time. The board and the agency, satisfied with that agreement, has moved forward. No one is perfect. We've sought to learn from this unfortunate incident. We've updated policies, developed new procedures, as well as additional accounting staff to safeguard this in the future. We'd like to share some of the changes we've implemented since May of 2018. A part-time accountant. The part-time accountant is director for taking deposits to the bank. This creates segregation between those accepting the funds versus reconciling the funds so that another set of eyes are involved. Deposits are to be done as group deposits, but rather deposits are done to be as group deposits, but rather individually, so it's easier to reconcile and track. For any fundraiser that collects cash, 2 individuals must count all cash before leaving the venue. They have to sign off and initial. If there's a discrepancy, there's a recount. Included additional office staff for green sheet sign-offs. That way there are 3 sets of eyes involved in the deposit process. Added approving processes for all Amazon purchases. It requires supervisor's approval. This adds an extra layer. Added email notifications to the director for all credit card purchases. Amex emails the executive director anyone times credit card is used, identifies the account number and the amount of the charge and where spent. Added direct supervisor sign-off on the credit card approval form. Added more details to the department head reports for staff to review monthly. Each month was given detailed reports to staff expenditures so that they can read it and notify us if something is wrong in their account. As you see, the agency has added or updated practices, and we're committed to improving the quality of our accounting practices and internal controls. Why was the individual allowed to work for 3 days? The day that further investigation was to occur was a scheduled day off for Abby. However, she came in and submitted her resignation. Her submitting her resignation at that time accelerated the termination process and left little time for investigation before she no longer be under our control. We were advised to draw up a few separation agreements that would ensure the recovery of funds that we knew to be true at the time. The director organized days and times that the employees would not be left alone in the building. The director also used this time to gather vital information from the employee, processing background checks, staff onboarding, payroll implementation codes, time and attendance information, and policy manual. We also had to obtain a variety of account information and passcodes. Regarding the following accusations, the October 2017 Japan trip, the October 2018 Japan trip, the LA wheelchair basketball trip, Orlando wheelchair basketball trip, and the Clarion Hotel in Joliet. The agency has reviewed your statements and paperwork and found the claims to be meritless. The documents you have does not paint the complete picture. We're willing to sit down with you to go over these in detail. We do remind you that the agency received a substantial donation from Kevin Hood that was specifically at the donor's request to be used for adapted sports. There's a letter from Kevin Hood that provides those details. As you can see, Mr. Hood was aware and encouraged the use of the donated funds. As far as the adapted program versus the Special Olympics program you have issues with regarding the structure of this program. The adapted sports program is unique and raises a great deal of funds to operate so that it is not a burden to the agency. The participants pay for the cost of the program and are required to sell raffle tickets as well as participate in fundraiser games. These fundraisers and donations have supported the program for years. We try to have this as close to cost neutral as possible. The board is fully aware that we have a program that accepts out-of-district residents. These individuals make it possible for the program to run. These individuals pay for the service that we provide. This is not uncommon in the SRA world, especially as a method for getting programs started. Because it's a low incident population, the program will continue to have to rely on non-residents to survive. Over the past 15 years, we have built one of the most respected adapted sports programs in the United States. Our Special Olympics programs has fundraised as well. We charge the state games fee at the end of the program to make sure it's fair for all. The fee starts at $150, and our staff have been diligent in getting the fee reduced. The agency does not think it's a good practice to charge the state fees up front because the registration fee would be too high. Not all kids make it to state. We are actively looking into a system that would be fair for all, even those parents that transport Special Olympics athletes to state games. Our director has always been an individual who wants to provide recreation for all. He takes pride in finding and meeting new individuals with disabilities and introducing them to recreation. We've heard many stories of him stopping someone in the store or on the street to ask them if they want to be involved in SRA or recreation programs. This is one of his strengths. Because of this, it has brought our people to our program. It's brought in financial support as well. We do appreciate and accept constructive criticism. No person or organization is perfect. We all seek to learn from mistakes. We ask that you help us to continue to grow the organization and look toward a brighter future for the kids and other participants of LWSRA. Thank you for your time and patience as I read my statement. I'd like to continue with our agenda. I have staff committee and reports. Keith, Executive Director.
All right. I just want to let everybody know we've officially hired Marie Ventura as our part-time accountant. Marie has volunteered for a few months prior to coming aboard. So I want to give a round of applause and some recognition from being a part of the agency to help us grow. So if you'd like to say something, Marie.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here. It's kind of an interesting time to start in many ways. But my background is as a parent of 2 special needs children. Bridget especially, she's 16 going on 17. She's an active participant usually. She has autism. I have another 23-year-old son with autism. So I've been a recipient of the programs for my children for years. I've also been on the foundation as a board member, and just attended my last meeting on Thursday as a board member. So I have a 30-year corporate finance background. I started out in public accounting with Arthur Andersen, and I've been involved in Fortune 100 companies, and I've been a financial consultant and a systems implementation consultant for many years. BP, ITT, Newell Rubbermaid were some of my clients and employers. So I have a very well-rounded financial background, including systems controls. And so I'm looking forward to implementing additional internal controls as we go forward. I'm very happy to see that a lot of controls have already been implemented, especially in the credit card receipts and insisting on receipts and reviewing of receipts. But I'm definitely looking forward to really improving the quality of financial information and really embedding a system of internal controls in everything financial that we do. So thank you for the welcome, and I'm looking forward to to working with all of you in the future.
Okay.
Marie.
Thank you, Marie. So some are donations and fundraising grants for this month. As you know, whoever all the people that are receiving some boxes, we got a $2,500 donation from Double Good, which allowed us to help us produce those rec boxes that are going out to participants. So it also included over $2,000 in popcorn that is going out. So we want to thank Double Good for that donation and providing that information for us. LWSRA summer programs. We have determined that we will probably, flyer a few programs. We are in the process of assessing all of our participants and putting them in a tiered system of A, B, and C, which will coordinate with the governor's plan A, B, and C. So we're excited about that, to get some in-person programs going slowly. Melissa and Tammy is really working hard on getting that going and getting that out and making sure we're doing everything right and having the essential protective equipment we'll have on staff for that. Fall programming will be, we have been asked if we'll be offering fall program. We stated below, it's above. We're really working on the governor's plan. Whatever the governor's plan is, we'll kind of go following suit and have our assessment to open up slowly so we can do the right thing and have a safe plan when we're ready to go. Our virtual programs, they continue to thrive. It is such a short start of them, but I think parents and participants are really enjoying the structure and the programming that we're able to provide for them. So far as board meetings, we will not be having evening board meetings at this time. However, the board will discuss this December when we get the 2021 meetings, if evening meetings are something that we could plan. And then I have our schedule of COVID events that's come. and then our agency goals. So we do have some agency goals for 2021. Those are listed. You're more than welcome to look at that. I won't go through them all, but there's some real good stuff in here that we want to start getting for 2020 and 2021. So there, I have those listed. Any questions for me? Okay. I also want to make a statement that's bothering me. The comment that I typically make, that I say go 150 for adaptive and go 100 for everything else, that's 100%. That statement could be miscued as miscued, but there's no denying that me as the director is here every day and doing 110% for everybody. There's things that I do. I'm constantly working towards the betterment of this agency. There's a lot of time that I volunteer, my own personal time, to do things for this agency, for different things. There are some things about going down to state games. I plug myself in because I'm the matter expert of adaptive to save the agency money so we don't have to hire individuals. So those are some of the things that I do. Far as Special Olympics, you can see me every Tuesday reffing games. If I'm needed to plug in somewhere, I plug in. But as the director, I have that ability to maneuver how I need to maneuver, and I am the face, and I'm pretty much at everything here at LWSRA. So there's not an area that you will not see me being a part of. So that is saying that I go 150%, maybe I definitely can change the way I say that, but I go 150% for everybody at this agency. So there's not a time or place that I'm not thinking about how to make this agency run better. So I do take offense to that comment, and I just had to say something about that one.
Thank you, Keith. Does any of the board members have any questions for Keith?
Well, I've got a couple as far as we go down the road. I think it's important with the COVID-19 and how things roll back out. And then some of the commentary today is that we go back to the core principles and look at the state of Illinois and the purpose of the SRA levy. Because Keith, somebody said it earlier, goes over and beyond and tries to accommodate everything, get everybody involved. And the levy for special rec in the state of Illinois is pretty specific. So we're on the fringe with some of the stuff that we do. And I'm not saying that we don't do it, but I think that's an important fact as far as what you're supposed to be using that levy for. So as we roll out in the next 6 months, I think it's important to reestablish that definition for the board members and the public. Part two, I know this came up. We brushed on the meetings. Park district meetings are usually at night. Sometimes they're on a Saturday. That's a district with elected board members that are volunteers, and usually the staff or the executive directors, the paid individual with some staff. Most SRAs are, you've got all paid directors of park districts, paid staff, LWSRA, and we've got programs and various things that take place at night, weekends, that we'd be pulling away from to have the meetings. So, that's all part of the consideration that we got to take into. So for an SRA to have a daytime meeting is pretty normal from what I've seen. So I don't know, just to set the record straight on that. Belinda, you brought up as far as the committees, the way this board works, the way I work with my board. I believe most of these boards work. I work in a committee. My recreation committee is well aware of everything that I get at Lincolnway Special Rec. I report on all this stuff at the board meeting. Our meetings are televised. All these matters, both sides of the issue, the money which Mr. Hunt donated in well in excess of $100,000 at the time, with very specific rules as far as how that money would be spent, was relayed to my board. All the dialogue back and forth, the FOIA information, both stuff that comes into us, comes into Lincolnway Special Rec. I share that with my committee, and different parts of it are shared at the board level, because you need to see both sides of the issue to know what's getting done. And I find it ironic with the public that we talk about staff, a staff that, Keith, I don't think you needed to defend anything today, you know, has done a great job with this whole thing, but we don't talk about the third-party vendors. We don't talk about the auditors. We don't talk about the accounting firm that was all third-party. And this board and this executive director have worked, and money has been the only issue to bring somebody in-house, change the way this stuff has been done from the previous executive director, and a lot of that's due to a lack of funding, to improve the systems. And that all that stuff is being done. And it's listed here with the document that that Gina has read to. So, you know, to sit back and say that nothing has happened, that we haven't prevented anything for the future, you know, things have happened. We took a stance, right, wrong, or indifferent. We agree to disagree. We've got to move forward because there's people out there that need us to provide services. And I wouldn't be sitting here as an executive director if I thought there was anything getting cooked with the books and we were being diligent to make sure things are done. If anybody thinks that LWSRA would be worse off or better off, I should say, without Keith Wallace, I think that's a gross misjudgment of his character. Because any flaw that he brings to the table, he more than compensates with his enthusiasm and need to get people involved in the programs. And he is going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. If you don't learn from him, that's one thing. He has always picked up and learned from everything that's happened. So sorry for the rant, but I'm done with it.
Thank you, Greg. Any other board members have any questions or comments? Hearing none. Keith, is Kristen on the call?
Kristen is on the call.
Sorry, I've lost track of all my squares.
That's
There she
okay.
is.
I can go through Kristen's stuff.
I think we all have it in our report. I don't know if there's any reason to go over it. I think you've covered some of it, but we appreciate the continued efforts. I know fundraising is certainly not easy during COVID.
Yeah, we can give you a little update on the golf outing. We are going to postpone that till next year. We're trying to do a virtual, so we are working with the foundation members, and they're going to devise a committee, and we're going to try to get a committee going with that to do a virtual golf outing to see if we can do something during this time.
It might be my best golf outing yet if it's virtual. For anyone who's golfed with me, it's virtual. There might be some hope.
Right. All right.
Facility foreman.
Facility foreman, nothing much on here. Only thing we have is the roof update that we're really working with them to try to get the roof, half of the roof that's failing replaced. So you have that in your report. So that's something that we're working on. We're trying to just figure out some things that around the building that we can save on that's not really due right now that we can pass on, like seal coaling, getting the parking lot done, doing some things that we can push off until we get some more revenue stream coming in. So we're just, that's what we're trying to do, just working on that. So that's his report.
Support services.
Tom is, he has here, we're up to date on all Freedom of Information Act. I did put in your packet that as of this year, we are up to $4,423 on requests that has been coming in from random sources. So, but we are up to date on all of them, and we will be adding some of these extra questions and things that we have from today in that based on our legal advice.
Thank you. Superintendent of Recreation.
We'll let Melissa go on that one.
Well, all full-time staff have continued to work from home until we did start having a staggered start June 1st. So we all have our own schedules that we come in. We try to do from 9 to 2. If they need to stay longer, we do allow for that, but then we do cleaning after every day. Safety, we are working together to create guidelines for the safe return. So Keith did mention that we are trying to bring a few in-person programs back. Hopefully this will be early July. Inclusion-wise, we've held a meeting on May 19th with all of our supporting park districts, just so that we're all on the same page of what inclusion will look like for this summer. Part-time staff, we are currently working on a plan to see when we would start bringing back some of our part-time staff. Right now, again, we are just using all of our office staff to do our programming, and even the start of our in-person programming will be our office staff as well.
Melissa, how do we hold up or compare to other SRAs with that? Is that pretty typical what everybody's doing, or are we better positioned than most?
I think they are just a little bit bigger. So their special events get about 100, but they are also serving about 14 communities. We're about half of that, and some of our special events have gotten up to 50 or 60. So I feel as a small agency that we're keeping up with the big dogs, is what I like to say. Our summer camp and our Titans have also gotten 20 to 25 since we've unleashed these rec boxes in June. So I also think those are really good numbers compared to some of the other SRAs. And we have our membership program. So we're doing sports, we're doing cooking, we're doing just socializing programs. And those are all staying consistent too, between 15 and 20 for every single program. We were one of the first SRAs to start charging a minimal fee. And again, our numbers have not struggled. So everybody else is starting to get on board now with charging and doing memberships, since this might be the norm for a little bit here. So I think our team is doing excellent. I can't say enough about how much time and effort they're putting into doing these programs right now. I don't think I've ever seen everybody work so hard and so focused, just to get everything in, and our time constraints have been short. We're turning around, we're doing week-to-week programs right now. So we're turning everything around, from our marketing to our blurbs, to our accounting, to our acuity. Tom's putting in programs by the week. So hands down, the rec team and everybody else involved has done amazing.
Definitely. I think I mentioned it last month, but our staff here have noticed. They see what's going on over at LWSRA, and I'm like, let's step it up. And again, I know this is mentally taxing on everyone. This is not, again, whether it's at work or your personal life, this is not what we all thought it would be. And it's going on a little bit longer. Again, to echo what the parents have said, the support you're providing for families is huge. So thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Melissa? Okay. Moving on, Keith, do we have any other staff reports?
Everything else is in your book. Melissa, Tammy, do you want to talk about any of the rec team? I think we kind of said things about it. If you want to highlight anything.
Yeah, nothing too much. I just want to, reiterate what Melissa said. I think the rec team has been busting their humps trying to get everything in and doing the programs. I wanted to kind of highlight some of the marketing tools that we've done. Some of the rec team, along with Kristen, have done like some videos, which I thought was really neat to see. So if you haven't checked that out on Facebook, those were kind of neat. And everything pretty much is listed in our report. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but along with the programs, the marketing has been quite interesting. I think, like Gina said, in my almost 30 years of being in the field, it's kind of been always been on autopilot for us. I think we've done programs, we know what to do, and this has all been new. So it's been quite an interesting ride. It's the team meetings that we've had have been really promising, and I look forward to extending the virtual programs along with in-person soon. So I think I just wanted to say kudos to the marketing team and the rec team for all their hard work. So, and like I said, you could read everything that we've been doing in here. I'm not going to go verbatim. So thank you. And thank you for all the kind words. Melissa and I will definitely tell the rest of the team.
Please do.
please do. I mean, again, it is, again, I don't think people can understand. Again, everyone's going through something different, but the efforts you guys are making are incredible. So thank you.
Yeah, and I want to mention something too. We didn't hire Melissa's position, so we eliminated position, and so Tammy's taken on supervising all 4 rec specialists now, and we moved some duties and some tasks around. So it's just really staff are stepping up and taking on extra things to make this work during this time. So I'm really excited, and I'm really proud of them and how we're able to compete with the big dogs out there that have 41, 50 staff out there, and we're doing it with 7. So 7 to 10. So we do a really good job. Okay, that's all the staff reports.
Okay. John, I believe we have Kevin Hood on the call. Is it appropriate? Can we do that now?
Sure, you can invite him in.
Am I correct, Keith? Is that what you
he would
were?
like to speak. I'm going to unmute him. Kevin Hood is on. He would like to speak.
Good morning,
Everybody hear
Kevin.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't know if it's hot there, but it's boiling hot here in Florida.
You can keep it.
And I wanted to, I feel bad because I think all this stuff that I've been hearing is my fault. And I didn't know all the LSW and all the rules and all that stuff. All I knew was I got my leg cut off, and one day some bald-headed guy came up to me in Target and talked to me about my leg and invited me to a wheelchair basketball team that he was coaching, and that changed my life. And I knew that wherever Keith was, we were going to give our money to that organization. I didn't care what it was. We were going to support that because Keith was a rarity. He did things in the community that I'd never seen. And when we decided to support Keith, I didn't know about all the rules and community and all that stuff. All I knew that when I got involved with Keith, we'd go on trips and he'd bring his kids and 4 of them would eat 3 hamburgers together because they didn't have money. They stay in raunchy rooms because they didn't have any money. And I began to see that plan on his team. And I told my wife, this is an opportunity for us to make a difference. How many times in your life do you get to make a difference? And we decided we wanted to pour ourselves into, we thought it was Keith and LWS, I can't even say it right. We thought it was together. I didn't think that I wanted one entity fighting against the other entity. I knew wheelchair. I don't know what you guys do in the community. Really, I don't. To this day, I couldn't tell you. I know we do wheelchair basketball. We do wheelchair baseball. Softball. Keith got me not just here in LWS. When I lost my leg, Keith called all around the country trying to get me to try out for different Olympic teams, try to get me to play volleyball, try to get me to play ping pong. And these guys were inviting me to their teams to go and try out. And my limbs wasn't strong enough for that stuff. But Keith was pouring into me just because he saw that there was something about me that I still wanted to compete, even with one leg. So when we decided to give money, I told Keith, I said, listen, my wife is Japanese. She was born and raised there. And I said, in Japan, handicapped people are shined upon. I said, dude, here's the opportunity that we can do something special in Japan. You know the sport. My wife knows the language. We can go over there and build this. You guys can have an LWS in Japan. I talked to Keith many times. How about we put one in Florida so we can be a part of this in Florida too? I had so many visions that I wanted to do. I sat before your board meeting. I don't know what it was. And I told them, we're going to take 90% of our business income and give it to LRW. and we're going to live off 10% of all the business that my wife and I own. I told the board member that was our goal. Then I get a letter from some lady named Karen who's demanding that I don't give money to the right place, and I'm supposed to give money to somewhere else. That offended my wife and hurt my wife, and it hurt me to the point that listening through all the stuff that you guys are going through, I don't think LWS is a good fit for my wife and I. I think this is what we're willing to do. We will put $1 million into an escrow somewhere, put a separate, let Keith get a salary from that. We'll pay off his mortgage, whatever we need to do so he don't need a big salary, and let him do it. You guys don't know how blessed you guys are to have that guy in your community, and you're blowing it. He have impeccable character. I offered to buy that guy a brand new Cadillac, and he told me no. How many black men you know in the world are going to turn down a brand new Cadillac? Not many of us, but he did. He has an open policy to come to my house and sit on the beach anytime he wants. He can't come. You know why? Because he takes care of his family. He has to pay for their braces and their food and their things. He's not stealing a dime from you guys. He is importing his life, his soul into you, to where now you got people who are millionaires that want to pour into whatever he's attached to. You guys are blowing it. Leave that man alone.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate your generosity to LWSRA in supporting the adaptive program. It has allowed them and Keith to do things that otherwise would not have been possible. So we thank you for your continued support and your kind words about Keith. And no, you cannot buy him, at least while he's still working for us, a car. But he has a nice black Cadillac Escalade, right, Keith? So thank you, Mr. Hood. We appreciate your time today. Let's go back to the agenda. I have facility or finance personnel. I think we've covered that, Keith.
Yeah.
Facilities and planning, you talked a bit about the roof. You talked about trying to limit any additional projects. Is there anything else to report in that area?
No, we did, no, nothing at this time.
Well, just an update, I mean, the park, you want me to cover that now? Or?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh, yes, thank you, Greg.
I mean, we're finally engaged. There's the fencing's up, the playground's there. I haven't heard a report this week, Keith. Maybe you know outside your door with the weather, but we should be moving dirt here shortly if we're not already. So
Yeah, no, there's not movement yet. They probably waiting on the porta john right now, like we said. So
that was the last hang up was having a porta john on site. So we'll just say they weren't peeing on a certain fence anymore. So, but everything's up and ready to go. So it should be full steam ahead.
Great, thank you. Super excited about that. Old business, or sorry, go back to where I was. Sorry, annual reorganization of the board positions, committee assignments. You had in your packet of where we are and where we're going. As we've talked the last couple of years, the idea is that people would progress through the position. So I served my 2 years as the president of the LWSRA board. We would be appropriate at this time to take nominations for the board positions. John, do we need to do formal nominations with a motion and a second?
Yes.
So if people are progressing in the positions that we have or representing the agencies, the way we had hoped it would go is that the new president would be Renee Chavez. The vice president would be
Jay Kelly.
Jay Kelly. The second vice president treasurer would be Greg Vitale, and the secretary would be Kim Strode of Piatone. So it would be appropriate if anybody would like to make a nomination of the list that I provided.
Make a motion.
Right, I make a motion.
I'll second it.
No,
you have to make a motion. Sorry, that was John. Greg.
Oh, yeah, I thought, okay. I'll make a motion for the slate.
Is there a second?
Sorry, muted. I can second. Greg Vitale.
I'm just going to read this one more time. So the new president would be Renee Chavez. The vice president would be Jay Kelly. The second vice president treasurer would be Greg Vitale. and the secretary would be Kim Schroed. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mary, could you please call roll?
I'm sorry. Renee,
Yes.
Greg Lewis,
Yes.
Audrey,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
and Greg Vital.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. Below our officers, we also have our committees. I don't think that these need to be approved. Am I correct, John? We've kind of just assigned these over the years. They are not necessarily nominations needed.
That's fine.
So we can, Keith, have you talked with everybody about the previous ones, or we want to go through these now? Or send out
I
some
can
committee?
call everybody. We'll see who would be best on one. You could look at one. If you are interested in one, let me know, and I will add you to that committee, and then we can go from there.
And typically the new serving president kind of shifts around. Like I haven't been on many committees now with coming off. If you want, I'd be happy to be reassigned as well. So, great. Hearing none, old business, the 2020-2021. Keith provided an updated budget as we asked, with some additional columns. One is the year over the prior year. One is with some COVID changes. Keith, do you want to run us through the highlights?
Yeah. Well, the 2019-20 budget from the final audited numbers, the 01 fund is about, with all of the changes and the lack of programs and the lack of things that came in because of our revenue stopped. We were about 01. We're about 40,000. Was at $41,000 in the deficit. 02 budget, we were in 02, I believe the recreation was 78. But if we go with the proposed budget, if everything is, all well, if we start up in the fall, we should be looking good, as usual, to go at a good place. But then we also put a COVID-19 proposed budget in there, which we eliminated 33% of a lot of the fund, the revenue and expenses from each, some of the recreation and some of the building funds, and both of them look good to run as status quo. We also removed, in the COVID budget, we removed the staff raises. So there was we removed all raises in the COVID 20 budget. So that's kind of how we planned it. I still don't know if we go through and approve it yet, based on all of the unknowns out there. I really don't know which one to approve. I've never been in this situation. I think the 2021 proposed looks good, but eliminating the COVID looks good as well. So I just, without knowing where we're going to be and how people are going to come back, it's hard to gauge where we're going to be.
John, is it correct we have to have this approved by the end of August?
No.
Or just...
I'm sorry, Greg?
No, that got changed. I mean, that changed. The governor, I think in the series of stuff that came out, that you've got until December or January 1st to file now, as far as the park districts go. You can double check that, but I think we've got time. I know my approach is going to be is we're going to approve our budget appropriation as is with the inflated numbers. And then I have a mandate across the board to the staff that we only use what we need to use at this point in time, to control costs at all, basically at all costs. And then that gives us the flexibility to, as things change, to either increase or decrease, but will be covered, with our budget. So, I mean, I'm on the finance committee. I have no problem with Lincolnway Special Rec passing the budget as long as that there's a mandate that we only spend, what we absolutely need to as each month rolls out, as this thing plays out. Because the other side of it is if you cut it back, then when you go to do your budgets next year, it's not really a good working document, nor will the other one be, but it'll be more in line what you've done with the past. So that's just my approach. I don't know how everybody else is handling it.
Anybody else have any comments or feedback? I wasn't aware that it was extended. I thought we had till the end of, I mean, everybody's budget date is different to the end of the final month of the first quarter. The budget and appropriations has to be approved. I didn't realize that they had extended it out.
Yeah, I think that.
For some municipalities, they have, yeah.
Yep. So does that hold true to John for LWSRA, or, I mean, really, we set that deadline, right? I mean,
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could hold off a little longer here, see what the governor comes up with next week with the phase 4 initiatives, executive order. And, you know, we could revisit it next week or at the next meeting. Or alternatively, you can always pass a budget and then amend it at a later date. So personally, if I mean, it's up to the board and the executive director on this, but if I would want to see what is coming next week, frankly.
Yeah, I'm concerned with there being no very limited future revenue given what we will or won't hear at the end of the month. And since there's no essence of urgency, again, if we can, we want to try to, you know, continue to award our staff raises as they work really hard. So I don't want to remove those. And I think that we should just, again, there's no urgency, but continue to evaluate what that future revenue may or may not look like. You know, again, listening to Marie's background, I'm sure hoping that maybe we won't even need the allows for the audit. I know when we made the transition the first year, we were able to get 90% back of it without needing them because they just, you know, again, it is what it is. So some other expenses that we may be able to evaluate. So any of the board members have any further comment?
Well, I'm still of the opinion the next 30, 60 days is not going, because you got to let it play out. You got to see what the public's reaction on what you can do and you can't do based on what the governor does. So, I mean, at that point, we're to that deadline. So I'm still of the opinion that we move forward with the normal budget and then direct the executive director and staff to be frugal with what they do. Even the raises, he doesn't have to give the raises out. He can evaluate that every quarter. And then we can either make it retroactive or we can just start it at that quarter.
Right.
So,
yeah, and we're looking good in this 2021 budget because we did budget for that manager position to be in there. So that is an extra $40,000 that would be in the rec fund that we're not accounting for. So if we take that, if we don't bring that manager back, then that's an extra 40. So we will be okay in that aspect of this this budget of the proposed 2021.
we bring it back, Gina, next month, then we got the other two board members here too. I would just make it a item on the agenda so we can take action if we want to.
Yep, let's leave it. Greg, Renee, Audrey, you have any comments?
I mean, I'm good with that. I kind of lean towards what Greg was saying. That's kind of what we're doing here in Mokina. It's like we have a plan A and a plan B. You have to almost consider going with plan A until you know exactly what happens. I mean, eventually we're going to run out of time. Glad it's been extended, but we're going to run out of time, and I don't think it's enough time. So, I mean, I'm good with both options. I'm also good with discussing it again at the next meeting and taking it from there.
Sounds fair.
I'm good with either direction. I think there's pros and cons to both. I just want to follow Keith's recommendation on what he's more comfortable with.
You know, legally, the other side of this is that in the governor's proclamation, what the legislation passed is that you can spend under your old budget, as long as you had passed one and provided it, well, in our case, to the county, you can go into the next year and spend that money up to that deadline. You know, so everything we're doing is legal, I guess.
Right. Right. So we're hearing no motion to move it forward. We'll just take it up next week or at the next month's meeting, and then preferably we'll have Jay and Kim with us as well.
Okay.
Is there any call for executive session?
No.
Hearing none, new business. Resolution 20-5 approving the new policy manual. Last month, Keith provided everybody a copy. Hopefully everyone took the time. It was a lengthy document to review and make any suggestions or concerns regarding all the wonderful policies that were in there. Does anybody have any concerns or feedback?
Just so staff does a review and puts it in front of the board on an annual basis moving forward.
Okay.
I just want to say I thought it was a really good document. Being the newest board member, I made the mistake of actually printing it out. I get up my printer. I should never have considered ever doing that. But really good policies, a nice lengthy document, and I think the staff put a lot of thought and effort into it.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion to approve resolution 20-5 approving the new policy manual?
I'll make that motion. Greg Lewis.
Seconded, Renee Chavez.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mary, will you please call roll?
Greg Lewis,
Yes.
Audrey,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
Greg Vitale,
Yes.
and Renee.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is resolution 20-6 approving the updated LWASEJA and LWSRA agreement. Keith, do you want to provide some background on this?
Yeah, this is a document. It was pretty old. They had some transitions, and then we're just re-looked at it and kind of figured out how we want to enter in that agreement. We're going to start doing some school day outs and some things in their facility. So we were working, our team wanted to just make sure this resolution got put back into place so we could utilize some of their facilities, and and we build on this relationship going forward. We talked to Sarah Rexgrove, and just working, making it a nice working document and making sure that we're working together to provide some quality recreation for the school and us. So that's pretty much it.
Does anybody have any questions? John, you've reviewed the agreement.
Yes, it's good.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 20-6 approving updated LWASEJA and LWSRA agreement?
I'll motion. Renee Chavez.
I'll second. Greg Lewis.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mary, will you please call roll?
Audrey,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
Greg Vitale,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Greg Lewis.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great, thank you. Last item on the agenda is director commissioner comments. I'll just go around the squares. Keith, what do you got? Anything?
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Greg Lewis?
Is Mr. Hood still on, or is he off?
I think he left the call.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I wanted to thank him once again for his donation. That back in the day, that was the biggest single donation that I think any of our districts have ever seen come in in one lump sum. So I look forward to Keith reestablishing that connection on a professional basis. Marie, welcome aboard. Glad we could make it happen earlier than later. I think it's long overdue. Staff, Keith, just keep doing what you're doing. You know, we gotta get through this whole process. I know at times it gets very demoralizing, but I think, you know, with some of the comments today and what you get, the feedback from your participants, it's well worth the effort. At the end of the day, I agree with, you know, both Tammy and Melissa that you everybody's reinventing themselves, getting more in touch with stuff because you're doing stuff you haven't done in a long time. You kind of handed it off because there are more important things to do. I know it's happened to me too, but just keep fighting the fight. It's well worth it. So thanks for the job you do.
Thank you, Greg. Greg Vitale.
Just wanted to reiterate my comments from earlier. Great job to the staff on the policy manual, and you know, it's been a tough couple of months, I'm sure. So just hang in there. Keep your heads up. You know, you're doing a great job. I can't wait to actually have some meetings in person where I could meet everybody again and hang out in the building and you know, kind of join you in action. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Great. Thank you. Audrey?
I just wanted to offer my support. You know, we wanted to join LWSRA because of Keith and his team, their care, their innovation, their opportunities for our residents. We're so very thankful, and especially during these difficult times. You know, you guys are just working so hard. You're working creatively. You're putting every last bit of heart into your efforts during this difficult time. And I just want to thank you for all of that. And I'm just so impressed and so thankful to be here.
Thank you. Renee?
Just kind of would like to first thank the staff that are on here, because anytime I've attended an LWSRA event, program, anything, it is always extremely impressive, from the whole layout through the event to the cleanup to the follow-up. And your team effort, anytime a challenge has been thrown out, you guys pull together. And as an executive director looking down on that, you know, a lot of that comes from the leadership mentality. So Keith, you should be proud of your staff as well as yourself, because that doesn't just happen. A couple of the people on the screen I've worked with for 40 years, and we would be thrilled to have a team like you have. You've kept them positive, energetic beyond belief. I come to steal ideas and take energy from you guys, and that's not even fair. I should be going to hand things off, and I try to, but once I get there, I look around the room and go, I need to do that. I need to be more like that. So you guys are role models out there. And Keith, don't apologize for your passion. You do not need to have a passion in Special Olympics when you have Tammy on board. She brings more than enough energy to the program, more than enough desire, more than enough love to that program. You need to make sure that you continue to share that. If you show up at all those events, you steal the energy, because you walk in a room and people remember you. You have to let your staff have some of that thrill as well in order for them to want to keep going. We've all been here long enough to see Melissa grow in the programs and bring her energy to the after school program. She's educated our staff on inclusion. So I don't know how we can help better continue to bring the pride and give you guys the energy you need, because that's my biggest fear. When I come on this meeting, I get wore down. I don't want you guys wore down, because your work is so valuable. And please reach out to your board members and ask us how we can help provide more for you, because right now is a tough time in many dynamics. I know we miss our participants here. I was telling somebody I've done recreation for 40 years and I'm missing providing fun for people. I can't imagine how you guys are missing the connections you've made all these years. So please just hang in there once we all can get back together and see each other, and rely on us. If you need help and support, Keith, ask your board for more of it, because we can't let the program go backwards because some hangups.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you to the staff, the board members, Keith, and the families that joined us today. We do value your feedback. Do understand that the public comment is just that, it's public comment. It's not necessarily a Q&A opportunity, so we do appreciate your comments, and we all are available, myself or any of the board members are available. We welcome the opportunity to have a Zoom call or a phone call, or in the future, actually, we can do them now, meetings. Again, I think we've all heard some great things today. Again, I think as Greg mentioned in his comments earlier, we'll be looking at our mission to make sure that our programming going forward continues to fall within that, evaluating from everything from our rec side to our athletic side, making sure that we're meeting our goals and mission of the agency. Thank you, Mr. Hood, for joining us as well, and that generous donation. I'm hopeful that we'll maybe be able to mend that relationship and see if there's any future dollars for the entire LWSRA organization to utilize. So if there's no further comment from the board, I would, John, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Hearing any, no further comments, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion. Greg Lewis?
Second, Greg Vitale.
I do love that there's two Gregs. It certainly makes it for more interesting in Mary's notes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mary, will you please call roll?
Sorry, I've been pronouncing your name incorrectly, Greg Vitale.
That's okay.
So do you say yes?
I do, yes.
Okay, thank you. Renee?
Yes.
Greg Lewis?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
And Gina?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Stay well. Keith, can you stay on when everybody else leaves?
I can.
All right, folks.
Thank you, John.